The following opinions are solely those of BoatTEST.com and its test captain.
Hi, Captain Steve for BoatTEST.com, and today we're going to conduct a features inspection and performance evaluation of the Axopar 28 cabin. This is an interesting boat for several reasons, most notably is her looks. Let's face it, she's an unusual design, but that translates into several features that make this boat a standout in her class, both at the dock and out on the water. She's chock full of clever compromises between space and added features, but to us, the most significant factor is that this boat has an enclosed cabin, so let's step aboard and start our tour there. The cabin is the first place where we get a glimpse of the upscale fit and finish on this boat. Teak is mixed into the carpeted decking, highlighting that premium attention to detail. Headroom is 6 feet 3 inches and windows are all around, including a large single-piece aft window. The overhead includes LED lighting mounted to suede panels, and there's a massive manually opening sunroof. The seats are all from Nyrox and upholstered in double-stitch suede with a diamond stitch pattern. The grayscale color tones are part of the Brabus trim package that can be seen throughout the boat, and it looks great. Starting aft, there are dual seats that combined measure 5 feet 2 inches wide. Additionally, by laying the aft seats flat, swiveling the 2 forward seats around, and adding a filler cushion, we can create a double berth. Batteries are under both seat cushions, house to one side, engine start to the other. Battery switches are under the port seat. Grab handles are at the overhead. Ahead, there's a comfortable rail-type footrest, and a side-mount pedestal base will accommodate a table. Storage pockets are just behind the front seats. Now, check this out. Latches to the side of the front seat allow them to tilt forward, exposing a sink to starboard and an electrically chilled cooler to port that is self-draining overboard. As we said, clever compromises between space and added features.
This console for the center seat leaves 12 inches of room on each side for access into or out of the rear seats.
These forward seats continue the upscale design and upholstery and now include flip-down armrests and flip-up bolsters. Looking at the console, all the way to port is a stereo remote, a storage cubby with connectivity plugs. Beverage holders are right alongside. At the helm, there's a 12-inch Garmin display and a 5-inch Mercury vessel view display. All the electrical switches are spread out just below and are all lighted when activated. The TTS engine controls are to the right. The steering wheel is mounted to a tilt base and wrapped in the same suede upholstery as the rest of the cabin area, even including a suede center insert. To the left is a joystick trim tab control, the most logical we've seen. Below is the bow thruster control. Further left is the VHF and stereo control. Above is a suede-wrapped grab rail. The opening doors to both sides provide easy access to the midship cleats for short-handed tie-ups and access to the full length of the boat. The windshield wraps around and back to the doors to both sides. There are 2 mullions to the side that do nothing to hamper visibility. More importantly, the curved sections produce zero distortion. I see nothing but clear visibility. Notice also how the windshield is forward raked to knock down glare. There's also an 8-inch overhang providing additional shading to the helm. Moving to the stern, a convenient grab rail is just under the overhang of the roof. A pair of cushions and a padded bolster translate into aft-facing seating. Underneath the snap-on cushions is storage. The hatch includes a gas support strut and it's finished on both sides. And this can be left open, swapped out for a wet bar, or an aft-facing chaise lounge. Even an aft cabin with sun cushions is available. The aft deck measures 3 feet by 6 feet 8 inches and is self-draining. To both sides there are self-draining storage compartments, again with hatches finished on both sides and held up with gas struts. As they're insulated, they can also serve as coolers. Under the deck is still more storage, measuring 4 feet 2 inches by 2 feet 3 inches. Not big enough for water skis and boards? How about this section that continues forward for 6 feet 4 inches from the aft side? That'll do. Removable panels at the aft end provide access to the fuel filters and water separators. To the stern are staple rails, and these have integrated angles. We can remove them to open the area up for swimming or maintenance. Being reversible, they can allow for making room in the aft deck or for tilting the engines out of the water. As for the engines, our test boat had a pair of Mercury 4-strokes connected by a tie bar. Checkpoints are easily accessible, and if needed, to handle lifts to remove the cowl. To both sides are 3-foot 1-inch platforms covered in non-skid matting. A retractable boarding ladder is to port. Moving forward, there are grab handles to the cabin side and a rail along the rooftop. The side decks measure in at 14 inches. The bulwarks come up to 24 inches and the rails top out at 29.
The Axopar 28 cabin is NNMA certified.
At the front of the walkway to the bow, Axopar installed speakers and beverage holders to both sides. The bow features a social zone that consists of an L-shaped bench seat to port that continues across the bow. The silver tone is part of the premium upgrade package. A table adds to the area's functionality, and dual grab handles are to the starboard side of the table. With the bench being only to one side, we still have access to the foredeck while maintaining seating. A fair and, again, clever compromise. The bow rail started at a height of 5 inches above the bulwarks and increased to 9 inches at the working end of the bow. 9-inch padded bolsters serve as backrests and wrap all the way around the bow. Naturally, there's storage under the seats that includes dedicated storage for the table and pedestal. There's also a filler cushion to turn the bow area into a sun pad. Under the deck hatch, there's access to the power steering pump, the bow thruster, and the boat's black water tank. Here's a different location for a shore power connection, and of course, a bow cover adds protection to the area. Forward, a hatch opens with a turn and lock latch. It's held open with a gas assist strut, but I'd like to see the hatch finished on the underside to match the fit and finish of the rest of the boat. Inside, there's a side power windlass. The polished stainless steel 7.5 kilogram anchor rides in a recessed stainless roller that extends beyond the stem and allows the hatch to be closed when deployed. Controls for the windlass are right alongside the hatch and to starboard. 2 8-inch cleats are to the sides and under the elevated rails. At the front of the deck house, a hatch opens on a lift and lock latch and is held open with a magnetic catch. There's a window in the door allowing natural light inside, and we can close off the door with this grab handle. Inside is the head compartment, accessed via 2 14-inch steps. The compartment includes 4 feet 2 inches of overhead clearance and 2 feet 11 inches of sitting headroom, and there's a vent at the top. There are mirrors on the aft bulkhead and storage over to port. There are circuit breakers along with the activation switch for the freshwater pump and macerator, protected by a plexi panel. To starboard, there's a solid surface counter with a sink recessed into it with contemporary fixtures. Plumbing access is underneath. The porcelain toilet includes an electric flush. Wood is all veneer with a faux teak decking. Now, back to the mirrors. A panel opens to provide access to the area behind the helm for easing service and installation of the electronics. Now let's get underway and take a look at the numbers. The Axopar 28 cabin has a length overall of 30 feet, a beam of 9 feet 8 inches, and a draft of 2 feet 8 inches. With an empty weight of 4,277 pounds, 90% fuel, 3 people and test power on board, we had an estimated test weight of 5,895 pounds. With the twin 200 horsepower Mercs turning 13.6 by 21 inertia props and run up to 5,700 RPM, our speed topped out at just under 56 miles per hour. Best cruise came in at 3,500 RPM and 31 miles per hour. It was at that speed that the 13.7 gallon per hour fuel burn translated into 2.3 miles per gallon and a range of 138 miles, all while still holding back a 10% reserve of the boat's 68 gallon total fuel capacity. We got on plane in 4.4 seconds with a 7-degree bow rise, aided by her twin-stepped hull. We continued accelerating to 20 miles per hour in 6 seconds, and 30 came and went in 8.7. The 28 cabin is an excellent handling boat and a blast to drive. Her plumb bow really extends the keel further forward, so there's very little slide in the turn. She comes around smartly, offering zero prop ventilation, and maintains her grip for good acceleration as she straightens out. And it didn't take long to figure that adding power in the turn tightens it up nicely.
During normal running, her plumb bow and her forefoot are out of the water and reduces wetted surface. The boat runs on a flatter section aft for greater speed and efficiency.
But when running through seas, then that bow is able to be taken full advantage of for making clean slices through the waves, and it should make a difference. But talk is cheap. I needed to see for myself, so offshore we went. As soon as we got into some heavier conditions, roughly 4 to 6 footers, I knew this boat was something different. She really showed good characteristics in heavy seas. If I pushed, I could get her to pound, but it didn't take long to find that sweet spot in each direction where she was most comfortable. Following seas, let her rip. That sharp entry cuts right through with no hint of stuffing the bow, even when the boat gets buried in the trough as she makes her way through. Head seas, she'll explode right through the waves, possibly catch air between the waves, but at the right speed, she'll just skip along and remain fairly flat, letting that bow do its work. beam seas, she's also comfortable, and again, go ahead and add power. She'll take it just fine. So this boat really was a lesson in not judging a book by its cover. My first take was that she's certainly an unusual design, but once I stepped aboard, I was impressed with her fit and finish. As I started to explore, I was intrigued by the many compromises between available space and added features. Once I got her on the water, her handling had me hooked. This boat has a lot to offer and is sure to hook many more than me in the same way. And that's my full inspection and performance evaluation of the 28 cabin from Axopar. For BoatTEST.com, I'm Captain Steve. We'll see you out on the water.